All right, welcome back to All Hitches, NoVA's #1 football podcast. Coach Mesa, how's it going today, buddy?
It's going well. It's going well. I think it's almost grass cutting time. I think it's almost time to fire up the lawnmower pretty soon. I mean, we are here.
It's your favorite time of year, my friend. It's smoking season. It's the barbecue season.
It is.
What do you like better? You like smoking or you like grilling?
Grilling. I mean, I grew up grilling. I mean, we didn't smoke a lot of things. Now, and
I say smoking, just so people understand, we're talking about well, it just sounded at first when I said it, I was like, it's smoking season, baby. Talking about Mace's he likes throwing meats on and smoking meats. I just want to let people know that.
I mean, I have a Traeger that does smoke, but I do like the fact that you're able to put in that. I mean, because I grill on it a lot, to be honest with you. I grill with it probably more than I actually do.
Okay.
But that wood chip flavor inside of your meats. Now,
you ever smoked the prime rib? Have you ever smoked the prime rib?
I did. I have smoked the prime rib. I have done that. That's really good. In fact, that's the only way I cook it. Because oddly enough, I mean, I don't know how much prime. I've cooked a lot of prime rib in my life.
I roast the prime rib.
Yeah. So, but your house smells like prime rib for about 3 weeks.
With every second of it, buddy.
It's after a while. So I do like cooking it outside. I like cooking outside anyway because it makes it so how. So I mean, we'll talk about the holiday. I mean, it always seems we always revert back to talk about the holidays for some reason.
Everyone loves the holidays. Good eating. That's why we like
your
eating.
House kind of smells like that all year. When you cook everything outside, I like doing that.
Well, I'll ask you this then, because I know you do talk about, we talk about foods around the holidays. With Easter coming up a few weeks away, what's your usual go-to?
For Easter, I don't think we have a go-to. Honestly.
You don't have a go-to?
No, we don't. I mean, I know it does the Easter ham, I guess, but I don't think.
So we go to my dad's a lot for Easter dinner.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do a brunch. That's kind of our thing.
Oh yeah.
Do a brunch, hide the Easter eggs, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I put all Hitches logos on the Easter eggs, that kind of thing. And then when I go to my dad always does a duck.
Oh, really? A duck?
He does it. He'll do some other stuff normally, but a duck is my favorite. I love duck.
Yeah.
Man, duck is phenomenal.
I think I remember a couple Easters my grandfather would make a pig.
Oh, okay.
So,
a full pig?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Easter, but I do remember the last time I saw them cook a pig. They brought the pig to the house. My grandfather shot it in the backyard. It was a live pig, which
wow.
He gutted it, cleaned it. I mean, my grandfather grew up. He grew up on a freaking island, man. That's how they roll. Then they dig a pit out in the ground. They use the fire inside there. They put leaves and stuff on top of it.
That's authentic stuff, man.
It is authentic stuff. Yeah.
Not messing around.
And then you put the pig on the table. You got the full pig kind of roasted out with the they usually put like some kind of apple or something like that in the mouth right there, and they pick out the pig skin and stuff like that. So in the Philippines, well, I'm not Filipino, but Philippines, my wife says it's called lechon. I think that's called.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. That's a feast right there.
It is. And oddly enough, here is the first place I ever see they sell like the full lamb here in at Costco.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like right, you get the sorbet, and then right next to sorbet is this giant bag full of
lion lamb. You get my dad did a goose one year.
Really? What
goose.
Isn't a goose really like greasy?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was like a duck meets the chicken.
So the meat's probably really tender, right? Like
it was phenomenal. It was like a duck if it was the size of a chicken.
Okay.
Because the problem with duck is it's so small.
Yeah.
Right. It's not. I mean, for a big group of people, you got a couple ducks normally, but with the goose, you can do one goose.
Now, does he roast that? I mean, how do you cook that?
Yeah, he roasts it.
Okay.
Yeah, and the outside is nice and crispy.
Yeah.
Right, the skin. Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And well, speaking of phenomenal, and speaking of feasting, we got a guest today that coaches a team that has feasted on their opponents the last few years. We got Coach Cage, the new Gainesville coach, joining us today.
They were loaded last year. It looks like they're gonna be loaded again. And we talked before about their youth organization kind of feeds into them, the Gainesville Grizzlies.
Gainesville's been out of this world. Just as an area, like you said, as a youth feeder, as a freshman program, and then the varsity program. I mean, just outstanding.
And their district probably is probably one of the toughest districts with those big three out there. And an emerging Osborne team, right? Osborne looked pretty good last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a tough district out for
That's
PW.
murderer's row.
In a really tough region, in that region B, that has, 1 million teams in that region.
Yeah, and so Coach Cage just hired, right? Like what, about a month or two ago, and only the second coach in school history. School history being 5 years old, but still, that's still. Hey, if you're the second ever, that's impressive stuff. Bill Cowher was the second ever in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
right? It's
Jimmy
impressive
Johnson.
stuff.
Jimmy Johnson, was he the second coach?
Jimmy Johnson, I guess technically, because Landry was the who was it? Who was the second in Miami history?
Wannstedt?
Was it Dave Wannstedt? Jeez, that's a drop.
It might have been Dave because he left the Cowboy staff, right?
And then Jimmy Johnson replaced Wannstedt.
Maybe.
I guess
Mike Schuler? Did Mike Schuler replace?
Nah, Mike Schuler. Mike Schuler was in Cincinnati, actually. He was in Cincy.
That's a good question. Hey, if you know what
later.
that is, drop in the comments. Drop
it in the comments. But I'll tell you what, looking forward to this interview with Coach Cage. I think he's got a good program out there. He was the DC, obviously. So he's inheriting
another DC.
Another DC. They don't grow on trees, Mesa.
Don't not DC Cab. Not DC Cab.
Mr. T. DC Cab. Howie Mandel? No.
I don't remember. I just remember.
Mr. T was in it. I know
that.
The
Barbarians.
Yeah.
The Barbarians were in it.
But I'll tell you what, you're right. Another DC hire.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff. So I'm looking forward to this interview today. I think everyone's going to enjoy this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get to it. Coach Cage from Gainesville. We got Coach Cage from Gainesville High School. Coach Cage, how you doing today?
Hey, great, gentlemen. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on getting the Gainesville job. I'm sure the interview process was long. Is this your first head coaching job, or have you been the head coach before?
First in high school, first head coaching job. I've done youth stuff before in the past, but no, this is my first high school gig.
Did you come up Gainesville youth? Like, I know I've talked to people, and that's a strong program, and a lot of coaches right at Gainesville have come up from the Gainesville youth program.
Yeah, I have kids, so when my kids were in the league, I helped coach their teams throughout the years. So, I definitely have some ties to that. We actually are the commissioner is on our staff, so we're tightly integrated with Grizzlies football out here. So, but before that, it was all high school stuff. So in the past, I started off at Chantilly for 4 years, then went over to Centerville for 10, and then Battlefield for 4, and just starting my 4th year here at Gainesville.
So you're making your way up and down. What is that? 29? Is that not 29? What's the?
That way, yeah. You can go 29. You can go 66. It's probably better.
Yeah, Mason's still learning.
I'm still learning. What do I know?
What do you guys? What is yours? The 405. Mason's only used to the 405.
I'm only used to the 405. You're correct. I drove the 405.
That's legendary traffic. I only know it from just people talking about the 405.
Yeah. So at your other stops, what have you coached over there? I mean, what were you position coach? Were you a coordinator? I mean, what have you done at those other stops?
Yeah, sure. So really, coaching kind of fell in my lap. I grew up in Chantilly, went to Chantilly High School, went off to play football at the Air Force Academy, played out there.
Okay.
When I got my first duty station, it was down at Langley Air Force Base in Hampton, and I was down there for almost 4 years. Got out of the Air Force, and one of my friends called me up saying that Mike Lawley, back then was the head coach, just got the job and was looking for staff and asked me if I was interested. So I joined that staff. So started off doing running backs and outside linebackers and safeties, and did that for Mike for 4 years for varsity and JV. And then one of my old Chantilly coaches when I was in high school, Chris Haddock, took over the program at Centerville, and he kind of rallied a bunch of guys that he coached with and had out staff on Fairfax and reached out to a few of us that played for him. And I left Chantilly and went over to Centerville, and over there I did safeties and outside linebackers for him on varsity and JV. And then I was there through a lot of talented kids there. I mean, we went to state championship 3 times during my time, won it once. We have 2 current NFL players from those teams, and Justin School, who just signed with the Minnesota Vikings. He was at Tampa before, and his rookie year he played in the Super Bowl with San Francisco 49ers. And then Kobe Turner over at the LA Rams is one of their captains, and he played for us as well. So we just had, and those are just guys that have continued, but we had just tremendous talent and great coaching during my time there. So that was great. And the reason I left Centerville is my oldest son was going to high school, and I said, if I'm going to keep doing this, I'd rather be with my kids. And so I left Centerville and came out to Battlefield. And when I came out to Battlefield, Scott Geromo just got the job. I came over to be a positional coach, and based on needs, I was offered the defense coordinator job and did that for Scott for 2 years. And then Scott left for family reasons, and Greg interviewed, got the job, stayed on his staff for 2 years, kind of on the back end of the defense, working with the DBs. And then my last year with him, one of our coaches got a promotion, had to move. So I went down to linebackers, which I was comfortable with. And then after that, I met Dan Bruton at the Grizzly Fields, and we were talking and, made a connection. Great dude, great friend of mine now. We vacation with families and stuff like that. So he offered me to come over and be the DC 2 years ago, and I took it. And it's been an awesome experience so far. Great community, great school. Kids work their butts off, so no complaints. I'm real happy where we're at.
So
yeah, you guys, definitely had a great. 4 years now? Are we going on year 5?
We're going on. I apologize. Year 3. I'm going on year 3.
You're going on year 3, and the program itself is going on year 5?
Is going on year
or 6.
You're 5 on varsity, right?
Varsity program. This will be our 4th year as a varsity.
4th year as varsity. Okay.
Year as a school. Yeah.
As a school. Okay.
Yeah. So you've been an assistant for a while, and so there's a head coaching change. What kind of got you to be like, okay, I think I want to put my jump in the deep end of the pool and kind of have sit in the captain's chair.
Yeah, honestly, I was really pleased with. I'm not a teacher, so I'm not in the building. So in the past, I think that was more difficult for us to get jobs. With the way things have changed over the years, I think it's becoming more and more acceptable and easier if you're qualified to do it. So I enjoyed being a coordinator. I really enjoyed being the DC. And when Dan decided that, he was going to step down and focus more on his family and just totally understand it and respect the decision, I just feel like things kind of aligned. I wasn't looking for it, but when it happened, it just felt right. And it was something that it was a challenge that I wanted to do. And I thought I was in a position that I was clearly mature enough to do it. But also I think just all the stuff outside of football was aligned for me, so I could actually do it. And my family was on board, so that made it even more appealing to try.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that you're right. You don't see it very often. And this offseason now, you and then Coach Pottinger, up top of my head, over at Langley, who's not in the building, but also, longtime guy, DC, they felt comfortable with. I think it says a lot, because we all know the schools would rather have someone in the building a lot of times. And I think if they go the other way, I think it says a lot with, the relationship they feel with you guys and the trust and the comfort, and they know that you're part of the community. And I think that's a big compliment. I think when a school, goes outside for football, especially. Other sports they'll do it, but for football, they got to really like the guy they're hiring.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope they do it, because honestly, none of us are coaching right now, right, for the paycheck. You really got to have a passion. You got to care about kids. You got to want that bigger picture of teaching them the life lessons through your sport and mentoring them. And I think any coach will tell you, if that's not in your fibers and your makeup, your fabric, then you won't last, right? And doing it for as long as I've had the opportunity to do that, I think that the kids can see through it quicker than a lot of us give them credit. So you got to be honest with them. And I love Pat Summitt's quote, the kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right. And so I totally believe in that and try to establish those relationships. And I'm sure sometimes I've missed, but for the most part, I've tried to, just be honest with the kids and treat them like I treat my own son.
Yeah. So you talked a little about the Gainesville community. And you grew up here in Northern Virginia. Does it feel more like Gainesville, a little more like small town football? Does it feel a little more like that, or does it feel? I mean, what's the feel like that? I mean,
No, what it reminded me of when I started coaching at Battlefield, what I told all the guys I still coach with over in Fairfax County, I said, this feels like Fairfax County to me. Patriot, Battlefield, Gainesville. Remind me of Concord. When I played, it was Great Falls, and became the Concord district, right? It reminded me of Centerville, Westfield, Chantilly feel over here.
Okay.
So the brand of football I felt like was powerful. It was strong. Before Patriot was created, Coach Cox won a state championship with Battlefield. But imagine, I mean, he had all the Patriot kids, all the Gainesville kids, and all the Battlefield kids. That's a lot of talent to pull from. And I'm not minimalizing it. What I'm just trying to highlight is there's a lot of talent over here.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you guys, it's essentially that I mean, with no disrespect to the other teams right now, but in that it's that three-headed monster. I mean, those three teams, you could argue are three of the best teams in the state. I mean, bottom line, between you guys, Patriot and Battlefield, I mean, the talent and the brand of football you guys play out there is pretty impressive. So like you said, it seems like, like I said, Fairfax football, just with those big three, just kind of going to wars. I mean, you guys are all pretty loaded. I mean, all the people who we talked to who played you guys, not just you guys, but Battlefield and Patriots said, man, those teams out there are no joke.
I was getting phone calls, Coach. I got calls. People said, dude, we just played Gainesville. These guys are big. These guys are real big.
Okay? I'll tell you, out of our offensive line last year and again this year I mean, it's high school football, right? When I played under Danny Meyer in Chantilly, we ran a wing T. So you could have a guard at 165 pounds. I still fundamentally believe that it's high school football, but I'm very pleased and blessed that the kids that I have, they're big. They're big, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, wow. You'll play at the 165-pound guard, but if you can get a 270-pound guard, I think I can live with that one as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you mix that with a kid lightning speed at running back, and you got a good little combination there.
Absolutely. We got a good group coming back for sure.
But yeah, so I want to ask you. So let's get into some football stuff. So you coming to Gainesville, right? I mean, there's only been one coach. It's only been one way of doing things in the history of the program, but the 4-year history of the program. Right. So you're coming in now, and he's a good friend of yours, like you said, and you guys vacation together and all that. It's a unique situation. When you come into something like that, now you're probably starting out now to kind of plot it out over the last month or so since you've been hired. A lot of changes, kind of incremental. I mean, what's the way of thinking going into this kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a starting a program that Coach Bruton did, and being able to jump in at year 3 of it for him. It's building a culture, right? And so I think Dan did a great job of building that infrastructure for us, building that foundational culture for us. And so we're not real far out of line because we were in sync when I got here. So the kids are going to see a lot of the same. I think some of my personal background and personal history is being sprinkled in there from time to time. But fundamentally, we're looking for discipline, consistency. We're trying to teach these young men how to become men, and that hard work works. And from all the cliches that you've probably heard over your years of coaching, doing this type of things, they're cliches for a reason, because they are that simple and true. And so for us, all we're trying to do is use football as a mechanism to teach these young men how to work hard, showing them what a goal is, how to strive to work for that goal. And then the wins will come inherently with themselves, right? Totally. I think we have a great culture. I think we're trying to be, if anything, I think we have an understanding that we want to be tough. We want to be physical. This game has changed so much over the years, where it's so spread now, and it's more of a quick, open field type of game that you have to respect and you have to adjust to. But, blocking and tackling are the fundamentals, and those will always be the fundamentals. And that's what we're going to preach. And that's what we're going to hit the weight room hard to get stronger, bigger, faster, so we can turn around and push people around on the field.
So you brought actually you kind of led me into what I was going to talk about. You're talking about the weight, go in the weight room. One, do you guys have a strength and conditioning coach? Are you running that? And two, kind of what does your off-season weightlifting program look like? And what does your participation look like? I mean, what are some things that
Yeah.
you really emphasize during the off-season?
So I think you gotta trust the people that are experts in the field. So I lean heavily on one of our coaches, Austin Brown. He runs the C4 out here with Charlie Chandler. Uh, Coach Brun was certified, and I can't remember what, but that was one of the things that they did. So I've reached out to those guys. They program the workouts for our kids. I'm there to help execute their programming based on what we discussed and what we need to do. Other coaches are there with us, and what we do is 3 days a week. We do Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. So we'll lift for the first hour, then we'll run, usually for an hour and stretch. One of the things the more you're around the kids, you see the things that maybe you didn't see before when you were not there as much. And so flexibility is something that I've noticed that we really have to work on as a whole team, and not only just for injury prevention, but also getting those muscles elastic so that you can get the most explosive power that you are, because you're not going to be running as fast or lifting as much as when you have that good flexibility. So we implemented yoga into our program. We do the Tuesdays, and then Thursdays we do lift and run and stretch afterwards. So we're just getting ready to start probably in the next 2 weeks, doing at least 1 hour a week on the field to start doing some install stuff. So that's kind of what we look like right now between now and the end of school.
Yeah. How do you handle kids who are in season? I mean, do you have a separate time, or do they just show? Do they just
No, it's a big fan of multiple sports. I just it's something that I'm gonna say
You're a lacrosse guy. You love multiple sports.
I love football. I love basketball. I love lacrosse. I mean, baseball. I don't think it makes sense to limit a kid. I think that it's so important for them to try as much as they can at this age, and helps their body stay healthy, doesn't overstress certain muscles or ligaments in their stuff. So for us, it's simple. Try out for the sport. Just let me know you're doing it. We'll come and try to support your team as much as we can. When you have the opportunity to join us for a lift, please, if your coach is cool with it in season, they come with us. If not, your primary sport is your in-season sport, and we respect that and understand.
That's cool.
You guys, 7-on-7 calendar, what's that looking like? Big man camps, you guys doing? Are you guys big on that? No, yes, no.
7-on-7, I think you're going to get a mixed review, right? From older to younger coaches. I know that it's a necessary evil, so we do have one that we'll participate in that starts here at the end of April, runs through May. Last weekend we do it is right after Labor Day. So we go for about 5 or 6 weeks. Out of that 5 or 6 weeks, 2 of the weeks will include big men, for that. Other than that, there's a few local camps that I've talked to Coach Vossler to see if we can get into that makes sense, that I did before when I was at Chantilly, when I was at Centerville, when I was at Battlefield. That makes sense, that if it works, great. If not, the way that they've changed it, where it's pretty much green days and we can manage our own stuff, it's us just being prepared, right? So us finalizing our playbook and then having the kids available to show up. So we'll do more green days where we're on the field and doing that. And really, it only matters about us anyways, right? I mean,
yeah,
we got to respect our opponents. We're going to learn it. But if our kids have to understand what we're trying to be, what we're going to do, and be the best they can at executing that, and the cards will fall where they do.
So you're
Voss has that waiting list for his that team camp he's doing. Everyone I talk to is like, I'm waiting to hear from Voss to see if we're getting to the Westfield team camp.
That's right. And I didn't even know, but I guess a few years ago they started one with with pads. They did it over at Lawrence, and I didn't know that. So I was like, as soon as I got on the phone, I was like, hey. So we're on the wait list as well.
So this year going in, and you got to replace some big names. I mean, you got some kids that you lost this year. Who are some
studs,
kids
absolute studs?
Yeah, who are some kids that you got look like who and obviously camp hasn't come yet. They all play out in camp, but who are some kids that we should probably take a look at that are going to have to step up and play a bigger role than possibly they did last year, or get on that varsity stage. Who are some kids you're looking at?
Yeah, so on the offensive side of the ball, I think quarterback is critical in any offense, whatever you run. So losing Colton Kilmer, our district player of the year, region player of the year, knew our offense inside and out, could do everything on the field for us. That's a big loss, and we're happy that he's going to Shippensburg. We're going to be cheering him on, but there's a few guys behind him. But right now, David Howe, he's a rising senior. He was a backup last year. I finally convinced him to play defense last year and come over.
He was a safety, right?
He played safety for us.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So he ended up playing 4 games, and he was so explosive, so great there. He's a phenomenal open field tackler coming down from that second level. He was the first team all district DB for us. He had 4 interceptions in 4 games.
Oh, wow.
He is the leader right now, probably going in there, but we have 2 or 3 other guys that will be competing with him. And Braden Hudgens, who's a rising senior, Bear Furman, who's a rising junior, and Brody Powers, who's a rising sophomore. All of them are in the mix. David has the most experience, has the most playing time, and he's truly a dual sport athlete. He's playing baseball right now for our team. They're actually at Battlefield tonight, so that's a big game for us. But David also, not only can he throw the ball, he's really bought into the weight room. He's gotten really thick. He's about 195 pounds. We'll call him 6 foot because all these kids call themselves 6 foot, but we'll just say he's right about 6 foot. But he's a running threat as well. So he's a heck of an athlete. And again, this is high school football. So if you can, I have no problem starting you both ways. You can be our starting quarterback and our starting safety if you earn it.
Yeah, I like it. You don't see it as much with the quarterback. You really don't. Right. But every once in a while you do. And when you do, you're like, man, that kid's a freaking hoss. We saw it over at West Springfield several years ago. What was the young man's name who ended up going to school over in New Jersey by the beach, by the shore? What's the Monmouth? What's I'm blanking on the name. But I'm sorry, but I remember.
Mejia? Are you talking about Mejia?
No, before Mejia. I remember, God, he broke every Monmouth record, but it'll come to me. But I remember we were playing a couple of years. Remember we had Mo at receiver. We had a 6'7" receiver, and they just sent him out there on that receiver. Remember they put him when you're putting your quarterback on the team's best receiver. You know you got a studded quarterback, right? Kind of like you guys. You got an all district safety. Sounds like Tim Tebow at quarterback. You know what I mean? That can't go wrong there.
No, yeah. When I was at Battlefield, we played Massaponax. Their quarterback, I can't remember where he went. He was a starting quarterback and safety, and that was the last time I saw it too. So, yeah, it doesn't happen as much. And I get it. If we have to protect our quarterback and he plays too
right,
and take him out on defense, rest him, do that stuff. But we'll at least flirt with the idea.
Yeah, for sure. Fairfax actually a couple of years ago with Tristan Edwards. He was their best corner. He didn't leave the field, and he was their quarterback all year. He played all season long.
Yeah.
So, and he was a little guy. He might say, I taught Tristan in middle school. He might say he's 6 foot, but Tristan's probably he's probably 5'8".
Yeah. I think we all
running back wise.
Running back, we have we had a kid that was a freshman, a true freshman. I guess I'm thinking college here. He was a freshman that we played on.
Nowadays, with the way people are holding their kids back, a lot of times you're like, yeah, he's an actual freshman.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely an actual freshman. Siler Pena, he was a freshman we had up on varsity last year. He ran behind COVID. Man, he's special. He was special as a freshman. He hits the holes. He likes to run between the tackles. We're talking about a bunch of ideas on him when between running back, put him out at slot. He's going to be a real special player for us this next year and the next 3 years, actually. Another freshman that's going to be a rising sophomore is Jaden Taylor. He played on our freshman team last year. He's a bigger back. I feel like I have thunder and lightning concept here. Really excited about seeing those 2 kids just grow and continue to work hard in the weight room. Their speed and agility stuff. They're both great kids, great grades. It's those 2 can be really special together. We have Chris Blanco's a returning rising senior, played for us. He's a lacrosse player right now for us on the team. He's going to be in the mix as well. So I feel like we have a really good stable of running backs there that we can draw from between, straight line speed and some high twitch power running. So.
Well, we were talking off camera before we started recording, and we saw that freshman record, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised you had thunder and lightning at that because you guys look at those scores were out of control. So I'm not surprised that you're telling me that you got two studs at running back at the freshman level last year.
No, yeah, we're excited about it. And you know, just kind of playing with it on a whiteboard, you get excited quickly now. You know, so we're hoping it translates next season. So if not, that's my fault, not there.
Defensively, I mean, what do you got coming back? What do you got like you need to replace on?
Yeah, so for us defensively, we lost the core of our defense, the heart and soul of our defense. Not lost. They were seniors, right? We had 4 senior defense linemen. It made my life as a D coordinator really easy when you didn't have to pressure with more than 4. We could stunt them fast, strong.
100%.
Really, really enjoyed that. So we're going to miss all 4 of those guys. There's kids, again, his name is Blake Sloan, plays on our basketball team. He's like a tight end, maybe a DN, maybe a star linebacker for us. He's going to be in the mix. We have Logan Burnett, who started at offensive tackle for us and might play there again next year. But really, I think he projects at college as a DN, and he was one of our backup DNs. Big boy. He's 6'4", 225 pounds. It's really, I think the sky's the limit for that kid. He really is just buying into the weight room, wants to play college football. And so I'm excited to see what he does for us there. We'll also look at a kid named Ryan Kohlmeyer, offensive and defensively. He was the other freshman we had at varsity. He could play, honestly, center guard, tight end for us, H-back on offense. He's just super strong, works his butt off. Really excited about what he can do. And on defense, I'd love to put him at 3 technique because I don't think anybody can block him one-on-one based on his quickness and his strength. So I feel like we have pieces there that will come back on what's most glaring. We have our linebacking core is solid. We have Adam Rodriguez, who's a 4-year starter for us, playing the Mike backer. And we have Channing Hyde, that's probably most likely another rising senior that will start at will for us. Our star backer in our 4-2-5, the kid that there's a few kids that look like they're in the mix there. One of them is a Jackson Roble. We played him at corner. We played him at safety last year. He's about 6'2", 200 pounds.
I remember Jackson. We talked about him a couple times on the show.
Yeah, so he has a lot of potential, and we're hoping that he can fit into down there. If not, there's a few other kids that we're looking at right now that will be definitely in the mix, or it might make more sense for us as we see our kids come into camp, keeping Jackson in the back defensive backfield, right? Corner wise, we have Vinny Hill, who's going to be a threat on offense for us.
I remember. I think we may have named him.
Vinny Hill. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember naming him.
Solid player.
Yeah, so we're excited. Him and his younger brother, who's a freshman, Righteous. They'll both play at wideouts for us on offense, and they might be the safety corner combo on one side, where Kyan Williams is our returning rising senior, was our starting corner with Vinny last year. Safety wise, we have David, and so we have a good mix of kids. We have some kids that didn't play last year that are coming out that we're excited. Gosh, I can't remember names. But he runs track right now. He's playing on the 7-on-7 stuff. We got a lot of good looking bodies and kids that are athletic, that fit, that kind of tweener where they can go safety, linebacker for us. So we're excited about that.
I got to ask you, Coach. I'm going to ask you this. I know you got 2 games circled right now. What weeks do you play Patriot, and what weeks do you play Battlefield next year?
Well, Patriot's easier to tell you just because it's the last game of the season.
Okay.
So that rivalry between Patriot and Battlefield, for whatever rhyme or reason, it used to be at the week 10 or the last week of every season. That has changed, and now they are playing us November 7th. And that both these games are home games for us. And the next thing about Battlefield, we had this happen last year for us, is playing a big game after a bye week. So we play Battlefield at home on October 17th. Okay. So yeah, they're circled. It's not like the days when I grew up where there was this true rivalry where you were like borderline hating those people for no reason, right? That's for me. I hated Centerville. That was baby blue. I didn't like it.
Hey.
But I think now with all these kids and they're so integrated in so many ways, it's just they all do stuff together outside of football, the other sports they play, their club teams or what other things they do. So, we encourage, for a program wise, we haven't beaten Patriot or Battlefield at the varsity level yet in football. So it's one of the things that we're going to talk about, but also we got, 8 other games on the schedule that we need to focus on, and we're going to look one week at a time. So right now, all we're worried about is Mountain View.
Well, especially with your region. I don't know if you heard. I used to rail against how unfair I thought Region B was because there are 1,000 teams in your region.
Yeah,
there were teams that were above 500 that didn't make the playoffs, and I was like, anyway. I could go on, and I did at one point on the shows because I was like, because I think maybe you guys were in danger of not making the playoffs. Either you guys or somebody else was in danger of not making it because of the way it was shaking out.
I think wasn't it Patriot late? It was Patriot late in the season.
So, but yeah, I mean, we're excited. Our upcoming schedule, I'm sure everybody has opinions, but yet every year those teams change, right? So historically, we could talk about a school and they might not have been performing to that level in the past. So for us, we feel like, at least on paper, this schedule is a tough one. It's one that's going to challenge us. It's one that's going to make us, I think, better at the end of the season than the beginning. So we're excited. I mean, we're playing Mountain View, Woodbridge, Colonial Forge, Forest Park, and then we get into district play. And for us, as well as all of us in the district, Freedom South Riding dropped down, they're out. But, oh, hey, don't worry, we'll bring Independence in. So it's, and Mickey Thomas joining RJ Windows over there. You just got some great coaches and great kids in that community that it's going to be a challenging schedule for us, but we're excited for it.
So, because every region, again, don't get me started about VHSL. Every region has let the region decide how they're going to make the playoffs. What did they decide in your region? Or have they made a decision yet?
Yeah, I believe the last time I heard the rumor mill is we're going to stick with what's already in there. So we're going to keep the VHSL PowerPoints. I think that's going to be done at Colonial Forge with that AD down there, and he'll run that point. But that's what I heard. But again, that's just rumors. I don't think anything's been confirmed yet. I know our guys aren't thinking the way Fairfax is doing theirs.
No. So Region D, they're doing the 4-4.
Right.
From what we understand,
Region C, the rumor.
Yeah.
For Region C, right?
Yeah.
The rumor is either it's either sticking, like you said, with the current PowerPoints as is, or which I kind of liked, using the max preps points.
The max prep ratings that they have.
Yeah, but I think
you're not a fan, huh?
Right? I'm not a fan. I think there's nothing else, so it's something. But again, that goes back to historical, like what you did previous. You don't have those kids on your team. I mean, we can look at and I just use them because it's the easiest thing. When you had Freedom Woodbridge ranked in the top 5 in the state, but they had a big changeover and it didn't match up for anybody that was on the ground that knew what that team looked like last year. It didn't make any sense. So I think there's always, I can be critical, anybody can be, but I think you want to stay with some kind of PowerPoint system that makes more sense. I think it's more balanced and has better equity overall for all the teams versus something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I only like that because I thought it did take in. I'm with you on the points. I like what they, and I don't know the exact formula for what Max Preps uses. I don't know what that formula is, but Mason and I spent an evening kind of looking at some of them over the last couple of years, and it kind of jived. It made sense. The right teams kind of got in some of the scenarios that we saw, whereas the PowerPoints that were used, and the ones we were looking at least,
right,
a wrong team or two got in, but the other way, the Max Preps way, look at the right team got in more times than not. So I'm leaning towards that one a little bit. What I didn't like is I don't like the 4-4. I'm not a fan of that. But you know what, though? I will say this. In that region, and I told Voss this, in that region, it kind of does make sense because the Liberty has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think you can go wrong because I think you're going to have, yeah, you're trying your best and you're taking the data set you have at the time and you're making a decision and you write it out. And if it doesn't make sense in the future, then have the ability to change it and correct it. So I don't think you can go wrong with one way or the other, but I do agree. And I won't put Dan on a soapbox here, but gosh, Region 6B, there's too many teams. It's too wide, too vast. It's absolutely. You got to really have a special year to go deep and far because there's just so much.
Because Region A has like 10 teams.
Yeah, I know.
So everyone just makes it. Everyone makes the playoffs. Don't be wrong. I mean, obviously, they have Oscar Smith and they have Highland Springs, and those teams are really good. And I'm not. But I'm saying, when you have 10 teams down there, I mean, it makes it really difficult. Because, like I said, I think that, there are some teams in your region that I thought for sure if they were in any other region, not only would they have gotten in, they would have won playoff games.
Oh, so, I would agree. I agree. But like I could talk to kids and I do tell them this from time. I'm sure if you weren't at my high school and you were at that high school, you'd probably be a starter, right? So it's just like, you just got to deal with the hand you're given and
that's true. That's true.
So I get it. I do want to mention two names to you guys before I forget, because I know I kind of went through the offense, but from an offensive line, don't get a lot of credit. We talked about their size, right? So, name wise, I got Reed Hobbs just picked up an offer from VMI for us the other day. Wow. So excited for him, really excited. Big boy, played guard for us last year, thinking about maybe moving out to tackle. Evan George for us was an all district and second team region lineman for us at tackle. We're talking about moving him inside potentially. So we got some good big boys returning. And like I mentioned, Logan, the DN on offense. And then wide receiver wise, I mentioned the Hill brothers, Vinny and Righteous, but also Isaiah Dugan. He is our 6'3", 200. He passes all the eye tests, works his butt off. Really excited to see what he does for us this year. He's explosive, has good hands, and he has phenomenal size. So really excited about that connection there from the outside for us. So I just want to mention those kids' names as well, just because I know that, you forget them. And when they pop back in, I need to kind of spit them back out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I do, we are, it is March and schools are doing the ceremonies and all these honoring all the guys who are on their way out. Obviously, you mentioned Shippensburg earlier. What other guys are going on to play at the next level from that are graduating this year, Coach?
Yeah, so Jeremy Stith is going to Davidson. Gosh, we just had this. Carrington Knight is going to Ferrum. I need to look this up. We have our largest class. We JT Walker is going to RPI. JT, write this stuff down. We have.
I'm sorry to catch up. See, because you got so many. It's such a good program, Coach. You got so many guys going to play at the next level.
We have, I think, 12 kids.
Wow.
12 kids going to play at some level next year.
That's awesome.
So Jack Smoot is it was probably the all-state first team all-state center. Was committed to Central Michigan with the coaching change there and stuff. Things changed, so he's actually going down to Norfolk State for next year. So he's been a great leader for us, and he'll sorely be missed. Honestly, I apologize. I could probably
you're good, Coach.
We definitely have a good group of kids, and they're all. Surratt Gill was one of our defensive linemen. He's going to Shippensburg with Colton. Adrian Washington is waiting, and once he gets accepted, which fingers are crossed, we're all there. I think he's going to end up at the Merchant Marine Academy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. So we have a variety of kids going to different places, and I'm sorry for the kids who watch this that I forget. It's just I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's all right.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I can ask a lot of coaches, and they'll just say the three guys. You have almost 15 guys, Coach. That's a lot of players going to the next level, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, Coach Bruin did great. Awesome job. Those are his babies. I mean, so many people were involved there and great families. Those kids worked hard, and those are the ones who built that foundational culture for us. So, they were they left us in a good place with really good standards and really good culture things for these younger kids to follow in their footsteps.
Well, to develop that many guys who go to the next level is big, just because high school recruiting is getting harder and harder and harder and harder every year. I mean, and to have, the kids don't realize how few guys get to go on
at any level, at any level.
Yep.
You're right. And those are the things that I've been talking with our team now, specifically the 2026 prospects, of how this year in particular it's unknown with raising up from 85 to 105 scholarships, but that also caps it, and explain to these young men and their families how, when you had 85 scholarships, you also had the PWOs and the walk-ons, you really had a roster size of approximately 130 kids. So now that you had 130 kids on a roster, just because they bump it up from 85 to 105, now that's a hard cap. You now have a delta of 25 kids that played college football that don't have homes, that are being asked to go elsewhere. That transfer portal, unfortunately, I feel like college football is now a farm system, right? It's a farm system, and therefore get yourself into it. And you might not get to the level out of high school that you very well should have been, but that's not how the game's working now. Get in there, ball out, and like everybody else, leverage the transfer portal, and you go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
A perfect example of that for us, or for me personally, is Brody Carroll from Battlefield. I thought he was an FCS kid coming out of high school. He ended up going to Shepherd up in West Virginia, was a freshman of the year last year, and now he's starting Mike Backer at Elon. So that's just kind of the way of the world now. You either produce and you stay and you can move up, or you don't produce, and the same mirror is going to happen on the reverse, where they're going to probably ask you to leave. So,
yeah, well, that and with the JUCO rule too, right? So
JUCO, why would you not go?
You're competing. You're trying to get that freshman spot against a guy who is 20, who has been playing JUCO football for 2 years, who also is technically a freshman. Yeah. Who gets to walk in, and we all know. I mean, my 20-year-old self was a vastly stronger than my 18-year-old self, right? Just because of maturing.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of these kids, a PG year, a JUCO years, if you can leverage that and you can do that, it makes all the sense in the world, because that's just where this sport seems to be trending right now. So
yeah, but at the end of the day, play somewhere you're comfortable playing at, right? Play somewhere, and me and Ramin talks about this all the time. Play somewhere that you like, where you think that if everything goes wrong, I'm gonna like my 4 years here. I'm gonna get a good education. I'm gonna walk away with a degree, right? I mean, at the end of the day.
Right, absolutely. And I think when we talk to these kids about what's important to them, it's, do you really love the sport enough to go somewhere? And I say 1 or 2 colleges. I'm not going to say them today, and I have nothing against them, but like, I'll use my son as an example. Do you want to go in the middle of Ohio or Pennsylvania or something like that to play lacrosse? Do you really love the sport that much? Because at some point, you're going to realize, once you cross that line and you go to college, whatever level, it's a job and it's hard work, and you can get burned out, you get injured, you get hurt. So you got to really love where you're going to go, just independent of the sport you want to play. And I think that's something that we try really hard to tell these kids on when they're looking out there on what they want and where they want to be, is making sure you love that school versus love that sport.
Right.
But most of them haven't had to put in that whole aspect of that business on the other side, where, those coaches now are coaching as a job to put food on the table for their families. And it's a different perspective than somebody who, and I'm not saying that's in a negative way. We're trying to just get you to learn how to be young men, productive members of society, have those goals, learn how to work. That's a different
100%.
Yeah, that's good advice, Coach. We appreciate you joining us today, Coach. I'm excited. I was telling people the other day about some of the storylines I'm excited about for this coming season. It's a lot of new beginnings in a lot of schools, in terms of, guys who've been at places a long time leaving. You guys are one of them. I'm excited to see you guys, and kind of, and like you said, murderers row right out of the gate. So I'm excited to watch you guys this season, Coach.
I appreciate it, guys. 2 names. Coven Smith is a rising graduating senior. He's going to Lafayette, play up there next year. And Max Desir, he's going to Catholic. It's two other names that popped up for me.
Nice. Nice.
They watch it, guys. I remembered. Thank you.
There, look at that. Coach looking out for his guys. I love it. I love it. Well, good stuff, Coach.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to, connecting again soon.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, man. Take care, fellas.
All right. Take care. Welcome back. Outstanding interview with Coach Cage. Coach Mason, what are some of your thoughts on that one, buddy?
I want to play for that guy. That guy, that guy seems like, I mean, what's the term they use all the time that I actually can't stand, but he looks like a leader of men, doesn't he?
Yeah.
A leader of men.
Leader.
But,
yeah. I mean, I wasn't kidding. The fact that there's only a couple guys in the county now, or in the county, in the region, that are not, high school, teachers that are coaching football. He's one of the elite.
Yeah. He must have wowed him in the interview, because I mean that's a tough sell, right? Because you want your football coach, because they have so many players, to be on campus, but it seems like they've got something good going on there, and so
yeah.
And for that to be your first head coaching job, that's
I know
that's
a good gig.
That's a prime piece of real estate, right? All of a sudden, the first piece of land you buy is freaking beachfront,
right. I mean, literally prime real estate. I mean, he told us the facilities there are second to none.
Yeah.
They got fields. Anyone out there has field shortages. They don't have them at Gainesville. They do not have field shortages at
turf
Gainesville.
fields too. They got turf fields too. They're
endless turf fields. Endless.
They're not going through potholes.
Nope. You don't need to practice in the dirt over there in the corner. No. You can practice in the nice turf.
And how about the amount of guys they signed this year? 12 signees this year. 12 guys.
12 signees, man.
That's big. I mean, I'm going to bet some schools don't have 12 in their whole athletic program.
Yeah, no. I mean, no wonder he couldn't name them all. I mean, it's not his fault. He's got so many over there.
Yeah.
The average coach has like 3. I would like to know what the average is.
It's small.
In NoVA.
Oh, in NoVA? I don't know. I mean, if the average between all the schools, I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's probably. I'm going to guess probably in the middle of that, probably around 5 or 6, probably, because you're going to have numbers like that kind of spike it up, and you're going to have some 1s and 2s or zeros. There's some zeros out there. But yeah, so just a good interview. And then another one that I found interesting was, and we see this occasionally, but with his coaching at Gainesville, but being a Battlefield family in terms of the kids and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I mean that makes it tough, but hopefully, I'd imagine that they're going to do pretty well. His son's going to look at that program like, I think I could play over there.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, you can't. I'll tell you what, a good program, good feeder, good coaching, you can't beat that combination. The other thing is, and I didn't ask him. I meant to ask him how many coaches he has in the building. I know he's not in the building, but I bet to say there's probably a good amount.
Yeah.
Whereas, and that's why the admin probably didn't feel like, it doesn't matter. We got
I'm sure
a whole bunch anyways, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he's got coaches in the building. And I'm curious. I meant to ask him how many he had total in his program. I'm curious how many kids he actually have from 9 to 12, right? How many kids?
Right. I mean, yeah, Gainesville. I mean, that's the power up there, right? Now, them, Patriot, and Battlefield. They that's a slugfest whenever they go at it.
Yeah. Those big three is definitely going to be another trio of games to watch this year, right?
Oh, you kidding me? And he said it. He said they've never beaten either one of those schools in their history,
on the varsity level, right?
On the varsity level, and so yeah, I mean, yes, but he started Mountain View in week 1.
Yeah,
he can't worry about. He's right. He can't worry about Battlefield and Patriot. He got Murderers Row in front of him.
Yeah, and with the way that their playoffs work, every game is a big game for them out there.
Right. That's the other thing. I found his take interesting on the PowerPoints. That's one. We're gonna start asking all the coaches this question, and that's one coach that puts a check in the current VHSL points. You know how I feel. I detest.
I
detest the current VHSL points. No way. Thumbs down. Ebert and Roper right here. We say thumbs down over here, buddy. I like I said, I like the max preps. I think is it the perfect thing? No way. But I think when you and I looked at some samples.
Yeah,
and we thought it kind of.
I think it's much better than PowerPoints. I think it's
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun interview, good stuff. We got a bunch of good interviews coming up these next few weeks, right? So I think everyone's going to enjoy them.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Well, From Dash and Dan, we'll see you next time on All Hitches.
See ya.